Months had passed since the solar disaster shook Vela Prime. The capital city, once in ruins, now gleamed with new life. Humans and Orions had worked side by side, rebuilding homes, roads, schools, and hospitals. What was destroyed had been made stronger, not just physically but in spirit. Princess Alara Velan walked along a wide street, observing the renewed city. Children ran past her carrying small flags of both Orion and human design. The hum of machinery blended with laughter and conversation. It was the first time she had felt complete peace since the disaster. Beside her, Captain Elias Carter moved quietly, hands clasped behind his back. He had become a constant presence in the princess's life, a teacher, a guide, and a friend. "You've done something remarkable," Elias said softly. "You've taken a disaster and made it a lesson for everyone." Alara looked around, her silver blue eyes reflecting the sunlight. "No, Elias, humans did this. They showed us how to survive, how to care, how to act when all seems lost. I simply learned from them," Elias smiled. "Then perhaps that is what makes humans extraordinary. We don't wait for perfect conditions. We act, we endure. We help one another," Alara nodded. "And now the Empire can endure too, if we remember that lesson." The princess had called a grand assembly. Leaders from across Orion worlds, alongside human representatives, had gathered for the first time in centuries. The chamber was filled with anticipation. Alara stepped to the podium, her robe shining in the light of the crystal hall. Her voice rang clear and steady. "My friends, citizens of Orion and representatives of humanity," she began, "we have faced disaster and seen our strength tested. Our home, our empire, once thought invincible, was shaken to its core. Yet here we stand, alive, resilient, and united." There were murmurs of agreement, and the room seemed to lean in, eager to hear her words. "Through this challenge, I have learned a truth that I wish to share with all of you. Strength is not measured by power alone. Strength is measured by the courage to act, the will to endure, and the compassion to care for others." The assembly was silent for a heartbeat. Then whispers spread, slowly growing into applause. Alara continued, "Humans have shown us what it means to survive. Not because they are physically strong or technologically advanced, but because they refuse to give up. Even when everything is against them, they help one another. They act without waiting for orders. They carry hope in their hearts." She paused, letting the words sink in. "It is time that we bring this lesson into the heart of the Orion Empire. Together, humans and Orions, we will create a future where strength is measured not only in might but in heart, will, and unity." Elias watched the audience. Some Orion leaders looked skeptical, but many nodded, understanding dawning in their eyes. Humans smiled, proud yet humble, feeling respected for the first time in this distant galaxy. Alara stepped down from the podium and walked among the crowd. She shook hands, offered words of encouragement, and listened to stories of survival. Everywhere she saw resilience, courage, and kindness. She stopped near a group of young Orion officers who had learned from humans during the rebuilding. "You've done well," she said. "But remember, this is just the beginning. True strength comes from continuing to act with courage and compassion, every day in every choice." One officer, a young Orion woman, nodded solemnly. "We understand, Your Highness. We will remember." Alara smiled, a spark of pride in her heart. Later, she and Elias walked along the rebuilt riverfront. The water was clear, reflecting the bright sky. The streets were clean, and the sound of children playing filled the air. "You have changed the Empire," Elias said softly. "No," Alara replied. "I have only begun. Humans have changed the Empire. They have shown me that survival is not just about control or perfection. It is about action, courage, and caring for one another." Elias nodded. "And that lesson will last longer than any fleet, longer than any law, longer than any starship." Alara looked at him, a faint smile on her lips. "Yes. Perhaps the greatest strength in the galaxy is not in technology or fleets, but in the heart of a species that refuses to give up." As evening fell, Alara called for a ceremony of unity. Both humans and Orions gathered in the city square. Lanterns floated in the air, reflecting on the clear river below. Music played, a combination of human instruments and Orion harmonics. Alara stepped onto the stage, looking at the faces of two species that had once regarded each other with suspicion. "Tonight," she said, "we celebrate survival. We celebrate courage, compassion, and hope. We celebrate the union of humans and Orions, not as conquerors or subjects, but as allies, as friends, as survivors together." The crowd erupted in cheers. Humans and Orions clasped hands, smiled, and laughed. For the first time, centuries of separation and misunderstanding melted away. Elias stood beside Alara, watching the people celebrate. "I think they understand now," he said. Alara nodded. "Yes, and not only them. I understand now as well. Humanity is not a curiosity. Humanity is a teacher, of courage, of hope, of life itself." The celebration lasted long into the night. Lanterns floated skyward, carrying wishes, dreams, and gratitude. Alara watched, feeling a sense of peace she had never known in the structured halls of the Celestara. For the first time, she understood the true meaning of survival. It was not merely staying alive. It was acting, caring, and refusing to give up. It was building bridges instead of walls, helping instead of judging, hoping instead of surrendering. She turned to Elias. "Do you think the galaxy will ever see humans as they truly are?" Elias smiled faintly. "Not yet. But perhaps one day, Princess, other species will learn what we already know. That humans are remarkable not because we dominate, but because we endure, together." Alara nodded, a soft smile on her lips. "Then let us make sure they never forget that lesson, not in words alone, but in action." In the following weeks, humans and Orions continued to collaborate. Trade resumed, education programs were launched, and scientific knowledge flowed freely between worlds. Alara oversaw the creation of a new interstellar council, with equal representation from humans and Orions. Its purpose was not to control, but to share knowledge and strengthen survival strategies across the galaxy. Elias helped organize Earth's human representatives, teaching them diplomacy and interstellar communication. He had become more than a teacher to Alara. He was now a bridge between two worlds. Months later, standing on the rebuilt observation tower, Alara looked out at the city that had once been in ruins. Streets thrived with activity. Children laughed and played. Adults worked together, repairing homes and sharing stories. She thought of the words she had first asked Elias. How do humans survive? Now she knew the answer. Humans survived because they acted, because they cared, because they refused to give up, and because they helped one another in ways the galaxy had never seen before. She turned to Elias, eyes bright. The Empire has learned the greatest lesson from a small, fragile planet. We are stronger now, not because of ships or weapons, but because of heart. Elias smiled. And the humans? They've survived again, but this time, they've changed the galaxy with their lesson. Alara's gaze returned to the horizon where stars twinkled like tiny promises. She whispered softly, "The galaxy will never forget what humans taught us, and neither will I." The princess's words spread through the Empire, and slowly the story of Earth and its people became legend. Humans were no longer regarded as fragile curiosities. They were symbols of endurance, courage, and hope, a shining example of what it meant to survive in the universe. Alara knew that the galaxy would face many more challenges. There would be storms, conflicts, and crises. But she also knew that humans and the lessons they had shared would endure. And for the first time in centuries, the Orion Empire felt truly alive, not merely perfect, but resilient, compassionate, and united. Together, humans and Orions had learned that the true strength of any species was not in perfection, technology, or rule, but in heart, will, and the courage to survive together. Above Vela Prime, lanterns floated silently toward the stars. They carried the dreams of two species, one small, fragile, and tenacious, the other mighty, disciplined, and finally learning the lesson of heart. And in the quiet light of the galaxy, a new dawn rose. Dr. Alara Voss stood by the observation window of the starship Arcadia. Outside, endless space stretched like an ocean of black velvet dotted with shining diamonds. The ship glided through the silent darkness, its engines humming softly. For most people, space travel felt lonely, but for Alara, it was the sound of discovery. She was a xenobiologist, a scientist who studied life beyond Earth. Since her childhood, she had dreamed of meeting something new, something that proved humanity was not alone. Curiosity had always been her guide. Her friends once told her that curiosity could be dangerous. She laughed then. She did not laugh now. It started 3 weeks earlier when the Arcadia picked up a strange radio signal near the edge of the Epsilon Verge, a part of space unexplored by humans. The signal came from an uncharted planet. At first it sounded random like static, but Alara noticed a pattern. It repeated every 72 seconds, in tones that almost resembled a heartbeat. Captain Reese Calder called an emergency meeting. The crew gathered around the glowing table in the ship's command room. The holographic display showed the planet, gray, misty, and covered with tall mountains that looked like claws reaching for the sky. "This world isn't on any star map," the captain said, his voice low. "We need to decide if we're landing or just logging the signal and moving on." Alara couldn't stay silent.
"Captain, the pattern is structured."
"It could be communication? We've searched for signs of intelligence for decades. This might be it." Engineer Leon Harker frowned. "Or it could be a natural echo from a magnetic field. We don't know what's down there." Alara met his eyes. "We never know until we look." The captain studied the screen for a long moment. Then he sighed. "All right. 1 landing team. Short mission. No heroics," Alara smiled slightly. "Understood, sir." The shuttle descended through thick clouds of silver fog. Lightning flashed in the distance and the planet's surface came into view. A vast plain of dark soil, glittering faintly as if made of glass dust. As the shuttle landed, Alara's helmet sensors picked up a strange hum in the air, faint but rhythmic. The landing team, Alara, Leon, pilot Kira, and security officer Dane, stepped onto the alien soil. The air shimmered around them like heat rising from sand. Alara knelt and touched the ground. It felt warm, pulsing softly beneath her glove. Kira pointed toward the horizon. "Over there. Do you see that?" Towering above the mist were stone spires, dozens of them, each shaped like tall fingers reaching into the sky. Their surfaces were covered in carvings, symbols and patterns that glowed faintly when light touched them. Leon let out a low whistle. "Looks artificial to me." Alara's heart raced. "Let's get closer." As they approached, the hum grew louder, vibrating through their suits. The symbols on the spires began to pulse in rhythm with the sound. It was no longer random. It was alive with pattern and purpose. She placed her scanner on the nearest spire. "The material isn't stone," she said. "It's some kind of crystalline composite, but it reacts to energy." "It's listening to us." Dane looked uneasy. "Listening? That's not something I like hearing." Alara smiled faintly behind her helmet. "It's probably just reacting to our presence." But deep inside, even she wasn't sure. The captain's voice came through the comms. "Voss, report. We've found structures, possibly artificial. The energy readings are complex. I believe this planet might be generating these signals intentionally." There was a pause on the radio. "Understood. Keep it short, Doctor. We don't know what we're dealing with." "Copy that," she replied. They moved between the spires, scanning and collecting data. Every step seemed to change the pattern of the hum, as if the planet itself were watching them. The sound seemed to echo their heartbeats. Leon checked his scanner. "You're not going to believe this. The frequency of that signal matches your pulse rate, Alara." She froze. "That's impossible." Then the impossible just happened. Alara took a deep breath. The hum surrounded her, soft yet persistent. She walked up to one of the largest spires and slowly raised her hand. "Maybe it's reacting to biological energy." "Don't touch it," Leon warned. But curiosity was stronger than fear. Her gloved fingers brushed the surface. Instantly, a wave of light ran through the spire, a brilliant white flash that filled the air with vibration. Everyone stumbled back as the hum shifted pitch, faster, louder, sharper. "Alara, what did you do?" Kira shouted. I don't know." The spires began to pulse in unison like a living heartbeat. The ground trembled beneath them. Alara's visor showed a sudden spike of electromagnetic activity. She pulled her hand back, heart racing, then silence. The hum vanished. The wind stopped. Even the clouds above seemed to freeze. For a long, tense moment, no one spoke. Then the sound returned, softer now. Slow, rhythmic, calm. Alara's wrist monitor blinked. The signal was repeating again, but this time it matched the exact rhythm of her heart. Back aboard the Arcadia, the crew argued over what had happened. The captain paced the command deck while the others sat around the table. Leon said, "We should leave. Whatever that thing is, it's not just a machine. It reacted to her. Kira added, "The readings show the signal stopped when Alara touched it, then restarted after. It was like it recognized her." The captain turned to Alara. "What do you think?" Alara hesitated. "I think the planet isn't just alive biologically. It's conscious. Not in the way we are, but in a larger sense. Maybe those spires are part of its nervous system. It felt me there." Leon crossed his arms. "That's not science. That's guessing." "Everything starts with a guess," she said quietly. The captain sighed, rubbing his temple. "We'll run more scans from orbit. No more landings until we understand what we're dealing with." Alara nodded, but her thoughts were elsewhere. She couldn't forget the feeling when she touched the spire, the strange warmth that wasn't just physical. It had felt like something reached back, something aware. That night, she sat alone in her lab, listening to the faint replay of the signal. The rhythm beat gently through the speakers. 1-2, 1-2, like a heart she couldn't see. She adjusted the filters, slowed it down, and realized there was a slight pattern between each beat. A soft pause, a breath. It wasn't random at all. It was deliberate. "What are you trying to say?" she whispered to the recording. The hum answered with silence. Hours passed. The ship's lights dimmed as the crew slept. Alara remained awake, reviewing the data. Each time she analyzed the signal, it seemed to shift slightly, as if it was aware she was studying it. She frowned and leaned back. "That's not possible," she said out loud. Her computer screen flickered for a moment. Then lines of static appeared, forming strange, wave-like shapes. It almost looked like handwriting, though no human hand had written it. The shapes repeated again and again, forming a pattern she couldn't decode. A soft chill ran down her spine. "Captain?" she called through her comms, but the channel stayed quiet. The static faded. The hum returned. And then, for the first time, she thought she heard something inside it. Not just a pattern or tone, but something faintly human, a whisper. It was brief, almost like a breath caught in the noise. But it said her name, Alara. Her hands froze above the console. She leaned closer to the speaker, heart pounding. "Who's there?" No answer. Only the slow, steady rhythm continued. For the first time since landing on the planet, her excitement felt different. The thrill of discovery was still there, but now, mixed inside it, was something else. Something colder, fear. Alara woke with a start. Her computer was still on. The room dim except for the soft blue glow of the monitors. The hum of the ship surrounded her, constant and steady. She rubbed her eyes and looked again at the screen. The signal data from the planet was still there, repeating the same pattern she had been studying the night before. But this time, the rhythm wasn't the same. The intervals had changed slightly, like the beat of a living heart. And every few seconds, faint waves appeared in the signal, almost like a whisper carried through the static. She leaned closer. "Hello?" she said quietly, as if the signal could hear her. The noise continued. Then very faintly she heard it again. "Alara." Her chest tightened. The voice was calm, soft, almost gentle, but hearing her own name from the radio waves made her blood run cold. She quickly started recording the transmission and ran a filter to separate the frequencies. What she found made no logical sense. There was a layer of energy inside the signal, an echo that matched her voice samples. It wasn't copying her exactly, but it was trying to. "Captain Calder needs to see this," she whispered, saving the file. A few hours later, Alara stood in the ship's main briefing room. The captain, Leon, Kira, and Dane were already there. The holographic table showed the waveform of the strange signal, and Alara explained everything she had found. "It's repeating my name," she said, pointing at the screen. "And these secondary waves are shaped like human speech, but they're not exact. It's as if the signal is learning to speak." Leon frowned. "You mean it's mimicking you?" "Possibly. Or responding." Captain Calder rubbed his chin. "Could it be interference from our own communication system?" "I thought of that," Alara said. "I checked every frequency. The pattern isn't coming from us. It's coming from the planet. The same energy we detected during the landing." Dane crossed his arms. "So you're saying the planet is trying to talk to us?" Alara hesitated. "Maybe not to us. Maybe just to me." The room went silent. Captain Calder sighed. "Doctor, you're suggesting a planet is holding a conversation with you." "I know how it sounds," she said quickly, "but the data supports it. The signal's rhythm changed right after I touched that spire. Since then, it's been following my heartbeat pattern. It's reacting to me personally. Leon shook his head. Or you're just seeing patterns because you want to. We all want to find life out here, Alara, but maybe this time it's just static. She met his eyes firmly. Static doesn't whisper your name. After the meeting, Alara returned to her lab. The captain had ordered her to stop working on the signal until further notice. But she couldn't. Curiosity had always been her greatest strength, and her greatest weakness. She replayed the recording again and again, trying to isolate the whisper. It always came at random times, never in the same tone or length. Sometimes it sounded like her name. Other times it was just soft murmuring like wind through leaves. She decided to test it. "If you can hear me," she said into the microphone, "send 2 pulses." For a moment there was nothing. Then the waveform on her screen spiked twice. Her breath caught. "You understood that?" she whispered. She waited for more, but the signal stayed quiet. She leaned back in her chair, her heart beating fast. A part of her was thrilled. This was the discovery of a lifetime. But another part, deep inside, felt uneasy. She didn't know what she was communicating with, or what it might want. That night, Alara walked through the observation deck. Outside, the planet hung below the ship like a ghostly blue marble wrapped in mist. Its surface shimmered faintly as if light was moving through it. Leon joined her quietly. "Couldn't sleep?" She smiled weakly. "You too?" He shrugged. "You've got everyone nervous. Half the crew thinks the planet's haunted." Alara chuckled softly. "Haunted by science, maybe." Leon leaned on the railing beside her. "Alara, I know you. You don't get scared easily. But you look worried. What's really going on?" She hesitated. "It's not just the signal. When I listen to it, I feel something. It's hard to explain, but it's like it's inside my head, like it's trying to understand me. I can almost feel it thinking." Leon's expression hardened. "Then you should stop before it goes too far." She looked at the planet again. "Curiosity never stops. If I stop, I'll never know what it wants," he sighed. "Just be careful, okay? Curiosity may be what makes us human, but sometimes it's also what gets us hurt." The next morning, strange things began happening on the Arcadia. The ship's communication systems glitched for several minutes, flooding every channel with the same rhythmic hum they'd heard on the planet. Then it stopped as suddenly as it began. The captain called an emergency meeting again. "All systems are stable now," he said. "But I want to know what caused that." Kira checked her console. The interference came from an internal source. It wasn't an external attack. It's like the ship started transmitting by itself. Leon glanced at Alara. "Maybe our friend downstairs decided to say hello." The captain turned to her. "Doctor, could your research have caused this?" She hesitated. I don't think so. I've been running passive scans only." "Only?" the captain repeated. "You were ordered to stop, weren't you?" Alara looked down. "Yes, sir," he sighed deeply. "Doctor, this isn't just about curiosity anymore. You may have linked us to something we can't control." Alara wanted to argue, but she couldn't. Deep down, she knew he was right. That evening, as the ship orbited the planet, Alara decided to make one final observation before shutting everything down. She sat alone in the dark lab, staring at the signal wave. She was calm now, steady and quiet. She whispered, "Why me? Why are you doing this?" The hum rose slightly. Then through the static came a clear whisper, soft and slow but unmistakable. "You looked." Alara's heart jumped. She leaned closer. "Who are you?" No reply. She tried again. "What do you want?" After a few seconds, the voice returned, faint but chilling. "Do not seek what you cannot understand." Her hands trembled. She recorded the words, checked the logs, and played them again. They were real. It wasn't her imagination. The signal was communicating, and it didn't want her to continue. For the first time, she wished she hadn't touched that spire. Alara hurried to the captain's quarters and told him everything. He listened in silence, then stood up and looked out the window at the planet below. "Doctor," he said quietly, "we're ending this. Effective immediately, the planet is under quarantine. No signals, no transmissions, no research. We're leaving orbit in 12 hours. Alara felt a sting of disappointment, but also relief. Part of her wanted to leave. The other part wanted to understand the message more. When she returned to her lab to pack up her data, she noticed something strange. Her computer was still on, even though she had shut it down before leaving. The screen glowed softly, displaying a new waveform. She froze. The signal had changed again. It was no longer rhythmic. It was mirroring her own breathing. She stepped back, her pulse quickening. Then, faintly, she heard it again. "Alara." She turned off the monitor. The whisper stopped, but a moment later it came again. This time not from the speaker, but from inside her helmet, through her earpiece, even though it wasn't connected. Her breath caught. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "This can't be real." The whisper returned, calm and cold. "You found me." Alara backed away from the console. The lights flickered and the hum grew louder, spreading through the ship's walls like a pulse. She realized something terrifying. The planet wasn't sending a signal anymore. The signal was inside the ship now, and it was calling her name. The Arcadia floated silently above the mist-covered planet. From orbit, the world looked peaceful, but everyone aboard the ship knew better now. Something beneath those silver clouds was aware of them, something that could whisper through the static and find its way into their minds. Captain Calder had ordered all transmissions cut off. The ship's systems were locked to prevent any contact with the planet. But somehow the silence felt louder than before, like the calm before a storm. Dr. Alara Voss sat alone in her quarters, staring at her reflection in the window. Her eyes looked tired, ringed with dark circles. She hadn't slept properly in days. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flashes of glowing symbols, spires rising from fog, and light pulsing with a rhythm that matched her heartbeat. She kept hearing the voice in her mind, soft, calm, curious. "You found me." At first she thought it was a memory of the recording, but soon she realized the voice didn't stop when the speakers were off. It was speaking directly to her. She whispered, "Who are you?" The voice answered, faint and distant like an echo across a canyon. "I'm here." The next morning, strange reports began to spread through the ship. Crew members said they had vivid dreams during the night. Some saw strange landscapes of shifting light. Others described cities made of crystal towers and skies that turned from blue to gold. Leon told Alara that in his dream, he saw the planet breathing, its surface moving like waves. "It felt real," he said, rubbing his forehead. "I could feel the ground under my feet, even smell the air." Kira, the pilot, looked pale. "In my dream, I saw the spires again. They were glowing, and I heard your voice, Alara. You said, 'Wake it up.'" Alara froze. "I never said that." "I know," Kira said. "That's what scares me." They took their concerns to the captain, who called another emergency meeting. The crew gathered around the main table once again. The air felt heavy with tension. Captain Calder looked at them all. "We're leaving orbit today. Engines will fire in 2 hours. I don't know what's happening, but I won't risk this ship." Leon nodded. "Good idea. The planet's clearly messing with our minds." Alara hesitated. "Sir, maybe it's not attacking us. Maybe it's trying to connect. The dreams could be a form of communication." Calder frowned. "Doctor, it's not communication if we can't control it. Whatever this is, it's getting inside our heads." She opened her mouth to argue, but before she could, the ship lights flickered. The monitors around them went black. A low hum filled the air, deep, rhythmic, and familiar. Alara's heart skipped. It was the same sound as the planet's signal. The captain shouted, "Leon, shut it down." "I'm trying." "The system's not responding." The hum grew louder, shaking the walls. Every display on the ship showed the same pattern, a glowing waveform pulsing in time with a heartbeat. Then, for just a moment, all of them heard a voice echo through the speakers. "Do not leave." Everyone froze. The sound was calm but commanding, like a whisper that came from all directions at once. Then, just as suddenly, the lights flickered back to normal. The hum stopped. The captain stared at Alara. "What was that?" She swallowed hard. "It doesn't want us to go." After the incident, the crew moved quickly to restart the ship's engines. But when they tried to break orbit, the ship wouldn't move. The navigation system showed all engines functioning, but something invisible was holding them in place. "It's like gravity," Leon said, checking his readings. "But it's not coming from the planet's mass. It's focused on us, like a grip." Captain Calder slammed his fist on the console.
"We're trapped?"
Alara felt a wave of guilt. "It's my fault," she said softly. "I made contact. It followed the signal back to us." Leon turned to her, angry. "You think? This thing's inside our systems because you couldn't leave it alone." The captain raised his hand. "Enough. Blaming her won't help us," Kira spoke quietly. Then what do we do? Everyone fell silent. Alara looked out the window at the misty planet below. Maybe I can talk to it. If it's really conscious, maybe it'll listen. The captain hesitated, then sighed. You'll do it under supervision. One transmission. That's all. In the communication lab, Alara sat before the console. Her hands trembled slightly as she activated a private channel. Static filled the room and the familiar hum began again. She spoke softly. This is Dr. Alara Voss. We don't want to harm you. We just want to understand. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then a faint voice replied. You came. You touched. You woke the dream. Alara's pulse quickened. Dream? What do you mean? You're inside it now, the voice said. Your thoughts become light. Her screens filled with strange glowing symbols, identical to the carvings on the spires. They rearranged themselves into a pattern that pulsed with color. Her sensors recorded impossible data, energy frequencies that shouldn't exist in normal physics. Leon's voice came through the comms. Alara, your readings are off the charts. Shut it down! She ignored him. What are you? She asked the voice. The reply came slowly, almost with emotion. I am the memory of what lived here. I dream so I do not forget. Alara's eyes widened. You mean this planet once had life? Yes, said the voice. I was all of them. And now I am only silence. You touched me and I remembered myself. A chill ran down her spine. What do you want from us? The voice softened. To see, to learn, to be. The words echoed through her mind, and suddenly, images flooded her vision. Cities made of crystal towers, skies filled with light, beings of energy walking in harmony. Then fire collapsed in silence. She gasped and fell back from the console. Leon rushed in and caught her as alarms blared. Alara! Talk to me. She opened her eyes weakly. It showed me everything. They were alive once. Millions of them. And when they died, the planet remembered. It became their dream. Captain Calder entered, his expression grim. And now that dream's trying to take us with it. Over the next few hours, the ship's systems began to fail one by one. The air recyclers flickered. Lights dimmed and strange power surges swept through the hull. The planet's energy field was growing stronger. Crew members reported hearing whispers in their sleep, seeing flashes of light even with their eyes closed. Some said they saw Alara's face in their dreams, standing among the glowing spires calling to them. Kira approached her one evening, fear in her eyes. Alara, I dreamed of you again. You said we have to stay, that the dream isn't done. Alara shook her head. That wasn't me, Kira whispered. Then who was it? Alara didn't answer. Later that night, she sat alone in the dark observation deck. The planet below shimmered softly, almost like it was breathing. She could feel it inside her mind, curious, gentle, but vast and overwhelming. It wasn't trying to destroy them. It was trying to understand them. But its way of understanding was dangerous. It blended dreams with reality, thoughts with energy. Alara whispered, If you keep pulling us in, we'll die. The voice replied, calm and sad. To learn, I must see to see. I must touch. She closed her eyes, tears forming. You don't understand what you're doing. I will, the voice said softly. Because you will show me. Suddenly her monitor flickered. The signal spiked again and the hum filled the room, stronger than ever. She clutched her head as light flashed before her eyes. When she opened them again, she wasn't on the ship anymore. She stood on the planet's surface, surrounded by mist and glowing spires. She looked around in shock. This isn't real. The voice echoed through the air. It is my dream, and now it is yours. The mist thickened and figures began to appear, translucent shapes walking among the spires. They looked human, but they were made of light. They turned toward her and spoke in one voice. Welcome back, Alara. The ship shuddered violently, waking the crew from uneasy sleep. Alarms blared and lights flickered across the Arcadia's deck. Captain Calder rushed to the command console, followed by Alara, Leon, Kira, and Dane. The hum of the planet's energy filled the room, stronger than ever. What now? Calder shouted over the noise. Alara glanced at the readouts. The spire's energy waves were no longer confined to the planet. They were reaching into the ship's systems. Every panel, every monitor pulsed in time with the planet's rhythm. Leon ran diagnostics. It's inside the ship now. Not physical, not electromagnetic alone, it's thinking through us. Ilara's stomach twisted. It's using us to experience itself. Every thought, every movement we make, it can sense. Kira shivered. It feels like it's everywhere at once. Dane tightened his grip on his safety harness. And if it's everywhere, can we even fight it? Captain Calder turned to Ilara. Doctor, what can you do? Ilara swallowed hard. I can try to isolate its connection to my mind, create a firewall. But it will take time. And while I do, the planet could influence everyone else. The crew tried to continue normal operations, but it quickly became impossible. Lights flickered, engines stuttered, and strange images appeared on the monitors. Visions from the planet's consciousness. Cities of glowing towers, alien beings of energy, and landscapes that bent and shimmered unnaturally. Leon stared at one of the screens, white-faced. It's showing us itself, or its memory. I can feel my own thoughts mixing with it. It's like I'm dreaming even awake. Kira looked at Ilara. How do we stop this? We can't leave orbit. We can't shut it down. It's too powerful, Ilara nodded. Not with force. Not with systems. The only way is to engage with it mentally. I have to communicate directly. The captain frowned. You're saying you're going to go back inside that dream? Alone? I have to, she said. It's the only way to protect everyone. Ilara set up a neural interface connecting herself to the ship's systems and, through them, to the planet's energy field. The hum grew louder, surrounding her like a physical presence. Her heartbeat matched the pulsing rhythm, and the air seemed to thicken around her. She closed her eyes. The room dissolved. She stood once again on the planet's surface, surrounded by the mist and the glowing spires. The translucent figures from before appeared, moving closer to her. Welcome back, Ilara, the voice said, calm but overwhelming. You wanted to see me. I do, she said softly. But I also want you to understand us. I want you to know humans are not a danger to life. We want to explore, to learn, to protect. The figures paused, tilting their glowing forms in what felt like thought. The planet's energy rippled outward. Suddenly, her mind filled with images, not just from the planet, but from her own crew. Their fears, their confusion, their frustration. It was all visible to her. She realized with a shiver that the planet was seeing them through her eyes. Every feeling, every emotion, every doubt. It was reading her mind, learning from it. Meanwhile, on the ship, the rest of the crew struggled to maintain control. Engines flared and diagnostics failed. Lights pulsed like warning signals synchronized with the planet's hum. Leon grabbed Kira's arm. We have to keep her safe. If she loses herself in that field, we all lose control. Dane monitored the security systems. I've never seen anything like this. It's like the planet is thinking and it's using her brain as a bridge. Kira's hands shook. She's not just exploring anymore. She's inside it. Leon nodded grimly. Exactly. And if it finds fear in her, it could spread it to all of us. Ilara walked carefully through the glowing mist of the planet. The spires pulsed around her like silent sentinels. The translucent figures followed, moving closer. She could feel the planet's curiosity, vast, endless, like a storm of thoughts swirling together. I know you want to understand, she said. But fear alone will not teach you. Curiosity must be paired with care. Observation without harm is how humans learn. The planet pulsed in response, slower this time, almost contemplative. Then she felt a jolt in her mind, a reflection of her own fear. The planet was mimicking her heartbeat and her anxiety. Her hands trembled, and for a moment she felt weak, lost in the vast intelligence surrounding her. Then she remembered something. Curiosity had always been her strength. She took a deep breath and focused, imagining calm, steady pulses, guiding the planet's energy like a teacher showing a student. The spires responded, matching her rhythm. The mist around her slowed and the glowing figures hesitated. You feel fear, she whispered to the voice. Yes, but fear can teach. Fear can protect, and curiosity can guide. I will show you. Back on the ship, the hum began to fade. The alarm stopped, lights returned to normal. The crew watched in awe as the readings on the monitors returned to safe levels. Leon exhaled, rubbing his forehead. I don't know what just happened, but it's like she's controlling it. Kira nodded slowly. She's inside its mind, she's teaching it, Dane muttered. I never thought I'd say this, but I think she's human enough to talk to a planet, Captain Calder, though cautious, allowed himself a small nod. Keep monitoring her. If she succeeds, we may be able to leave orbit safely. If not, he didn't finish the sentence, but everyone understood. Ilara remained on the planet's surface in her mind, guiding the vast consciousness carefully. She imagined lessons, showing the planet what it meant to respect life, to understand boundaries, to observe without harm. She taught it what humans valued: empathy, patience, and curiosity with caution. The glowing figures began to mimic her actions. Slowly, the pulsing light of the spires changed from sharp, erratic spikes to gentle waves. The mist lifted slightly, revealing glimpses of the planet's surface in harmony: forests, mountains, rivers glowing softly in its unique light. It wasn't perfect. Fear still lingered in some of the planet's energy, and Ilara could feel it, but she also felt hope. "You can learn," she whispered. "You can understand." The voice responded softly, no longer overwhelming. I'm learning." Hours later, Ilara returned her consciousness to the ship, disconnecting the neural interface carefully. She opened her eyes to see the crew gathered around her, tense but alert. "Status?" Captain Calder asked. The readings were stable. The engines worked. The ship was functioning normally. Even the planet's hum, faint but steady, no longer pulsed violently through the hull. Ilara nodded. "It's learning. It understands limits now, but it's curious. It's like a child trying to understand an adult world, and we taught it without harm." Leon leaned against the wall. "You just talked to a planet and survived. That's incredible." Kira smiled faintly. "And terrifying. But incredible." Dane crossed his arms, looking thoughtful. "I don't like it, but I trust you. You did what none of us could. You made it see humans for what we truly are." Ilara exhaled, exhausted but relieved. She knew this was only the beginning. The planet's curiosity was vast and ancient, and she had only begun to teach it. But for now, fear had been tempered by understanding. Curiosity had led to discovery and survival, and humanity had once again proven its ability to adapt, to think, and to guide.